Hey guys, welcome back to my comic review series on IDW Sonic the Hedgehog, where I cover each and every issue. Today I am doing a review of issue 9, which is the start of the new saga in the comic, The Battle for Angel Island. This arc takes place directly after the previous arc, The Fate of Dr. Eggman, where issues 5 to 8 took place. Since this is now a new saga, there will be no recap this time. If you would like to keep up to speed in regards to the current context of the story, I recommend checking out all my previous reviews of the series, or alternatively, if you're interested in reading the comic for yourself, you can find them all on Amazon. This was the website I went on to purchase most of these comics, and you can get them for cheaper prices. Highly recommend doing this if you are interested in this comic. Trust me, once you do that, you won't regret it. Also, whether you decide to read these comics physically or digitally, I advise on supporting the staff at IDW. This series was made with a lot of love and care put into them, and they deserve every amount of recognition for the hard work they have provided for the fans, myself included. Do not pirate the comics or go to online sites just to read them for the first time. It's something that I will always disavow no matter how one views it, and it shows that you are not a true comic book fan. Get a job and make some money. That's all you gotta do. Anyways, support the team at IDW by purchasing any comic they have published. This goes for other comic book publishers as well. So without further ado, let's get into the main cover for this issue. This one features a detailed close-up of Neo Metal Sonic, who catches Sonic and Knuckles' fists as the latter two try to fight him, and who are also shown in Neo Metal's reflection. Neo Metal is also engulfed in some sort of a godlike aura, which may prove he will be far more formidable than he was in issue 7. The cover also gives off some anime vibes, mainly Goku and Vegeta's fight with Jiren. Overall, super fantastic cover A-art, as it does an amazing job representing what will happen in this new arc. This was drawn by Lamar Wells, who is another returning Archie Sonic artist, and Adam Bryce Thomas. They both ate with this cover, and it's one of my favorite ones in the series. That being said, let's get into the story. We begin with Neo Metal Sonic narrating the previous events of the comic in his perspective. He has gained access to operate the Egg Fleet, which he used to take over Angel Island and secure the Master Emerald. He successfully achieved this by tricking Sonic and friends into bringing him the last thing he needs for his ascension, and claims that he has won. For now. Also, we're already one page in, and I'm already loving this opening to the arc. Not only that, but in the very next page, a panoramic shot of Angel Island is shown. A first for the comic to do something like this, and we get to see a full view of the place, despite Neo Metal's takeover. The scene cuts to the Resistance base, where all the characters we have met in the previous 8 issues have arrived, and, as stated by Sonic, are going to need to offer valuable assistance. And wow, another panoramic shot to compensate my excitement for this arc. Knuckles expresses his frustration at what Neo Metal has done to his island, and regrets that he should have never departed. Amy comforts him, and says that Knuckles had helped him in every best of his ability, despite not being present on the island, and that the Resistance will help him get his home back. She then breaks down the plan to the rest of the group. They will be split into 3 teams. The first and second teams will take down the shoreline and break down the Egg Fleet's control of the island, while the third team will confront Neo Metal directly, and hopefully secure the Master Emerald, and, as Amy puts it, rob the fleet of its commander. Without hesitation, Knuckles goes, "I'm a Team 3! Yeah, definitely makes sense when you have a robotic psychopath tampering with the source of power of your home. Blaze suggests the idea of confronting Neo Metal as Burning Blaze. Wait, did you just say Burning Blaze? The super form of Blaze which we haven't seen since the Rush games? No flippin' way they remember that. I agree with Sonic here, that totally sounds amazing. Here's hoping that happens. We get another hint that Blaze is from an alternate dimension, and how the Soul Emeralds, being a counterpart of the Chaos Emeralds which Sonic uses to become Super Sonic, are used by Blaze to become her burning state. While they are not to be wielded recklessly, their power can potentially avert this crisis. I love Tego's reaction, she's so funny. However, Tails says that this probably might not be the best idea, partially for a few reasons. The Master Emerald has the power to neutralize the Chaos Emeralds, and could likely do the same for the Soul Emeralds, though Knuckles reassures him that it cannot do that. Even so, Neo Metal could still copy Blaze's biodata and abilities, including the capability to harness her super form powers. Honestly, he's not wrong, considering how in issue 7, he overpowered Sonic by copying his biodata. So yeah, it probably is for the best that Blaze doesn't confront Metal Sonic at all. I feel your pain, Blaze. That would have been a sick fight. Fortunately, Amy puts Blaze on Team 1 to ensure Neo Metal won't be near the fleets, Sonic and Knuckles will be on Team 3 to confront him, and the rest will be on Team 2. With everything finally planned out, they head towards the Resistance battleship. As they venture to Angel Island, Sonic compliments Whisper for tagging along, despite being private and antisocial, and he tells her to stay safe. Rouge hears this and tells Shadow she didn't think he would take part in this as well, although Shadow says that he's here for his own reasons. Yeah, we'll see about that in the next issue. Whisper is onto you, Mr. Edgelord. Speaking of which, Blaze sees Whisper and asks Amy if the Silent Wolf can be trusted, and Amy states that Whisper usually keeps her distance, similar to how Blaze used to be when they all first met, recounting the events of Sonic Rush. Blaze admits that she was a little defensive during her first encounter with Sonic and the others, but eventually learned how to be civil and open when interacting with them, and became a formidable ally to the team, not only thanks to Amy, but a certain little 6-year-old rabbit who was the first to meet Blaze. As such, Amy wishes for Blaze to be careful on her own for this task, and the princess replies that everything will go all according to plan, that they will. In the next scene, Tango, Silver, and the Chaotix are playing a game of cards. This features another good Tango moment in the comic, as she tricks Silver with some mind game questions, while sneakily using her tail to take one of the cards from Silver without him noticing. I love Tango so much. Vector persuades Knuckles to join in, but Knuckles refuses as he's very determined to protect his island and has to take his duty very seriously. I literally cannot stress enough how greatly they handled Knuckles in this comic. In the captain room of the ship, Sonic walks in and chats with Tails that he's very thrilled to see everybody participate and notes that they will be at Angel Island at any moment now. And surprise surprise, the battleship gets struck. Even Sonic knows that inconvenient events would always happen at the most heartfelt moments. After a quick observation, Tails realizes that the Egg Fleet is bombarding the aircraft. He tells Sonic to grab the extreme gear with Knuckles while he does his best to make a landing. Hold up! Did he just say extreme gear? From the Sonic Riders games? We getting some Riders love in here too? Yes we are! Let's go! As Sonic and Knuckles head down to the island with their extreme gears, Tails, who speaks to Blaze through the intercom, tells her that she must fly to the target while he has the battleship land on the west coast. Oh my god, she has the solar emeralds. Is she gonna do it? Oh yes! She did! We got Burning Blaze! So happy to see this form come back. Man, they are cooking so hard. At the very last second during the ship's unfortunate high damage, Tails puts in the final trajectory before quickly departing, and they all make it out just in time. Love the Sonic Heroes callback with the Chaotix here. I love them so much. As they arrive on the island, Amy has the Chaotix and Silver take action by wrecking stuff. She notices Shadow not being present, with Rouge remarking that he's not one who would follow orders. Yep, just your typical Shadow fashion. He even said this in the Shadow 05 game.
I take orders from no one. I do as I decide.
Due to this, Amy has Rouge handle the guns instead. Then she has Tango and Whisper cover for Tails, while he does something smart. What? Come on, Amy, you should be able to make a way more explicit sentence than that. And once again, with the real superpower of teamwork, Team 2 begins to battle the entire Egg Fleet's horde of egg pods and cannons, all with one single panel to show the choreography of the fight. Meanwhile, Blaze, in her super state, flies towards the fleet of ships ready to destroy them. As she's about to fire, she expresses some admiration for her friends, who she's not had in her life for so long, and must do everything she can to keep them safe. As such, she charges up her version of a Kamehameha and blasts the ships. God, I love Blaze so much! Ah! Cutting to Team 3's progress, Sonic and Knuckles locate a giant Eggman statue positioned on top of a closed door, which has Neo Metal's face in between. Knuckles says that he's not able to sense any power due to the Master Emerald being cut off from him. Then he just punches the door and forces it wide open. Wow, that was far too simple than I thought it'd be. He and Sonic walk down the halls and find Neo Metal still sitting on the throne since the last issue, as he has been awaiting Sonic's arrival all this time. Sonic makes an idle threat to Neo Metal as the Resistance are currently beating down his forces, and with Knuckles demanding to let the Master Emerald go. This provides no concern to Neo Metal as the Resistance efforts are futile and that Sonic and Knuckles are no match for him. They attempt to throw hands with Neo Metal, but suddenly a huge ball of energy appears, pushing back the duo. As it clears, Neo Metal Sonic is now in his own dedicated super form, Super Neo Metal Sonic. I did not expect this to happen. What a perfect way to end the issue's story. Holy moly, man, rereading this issue for this video reminds me of how blissfully excited I was when 2 years ago I got my Battle for Angel Island graphic novel after getting back home from my college classes, and how reading the whole thing to see where the story picks up from the first 2 sagas got me pumped as heck. This is where IDW locks in even more, and for the reasons I'll be discussing in the highlights. The art in this issue was handled by Tracy Yardley, with Sean Lee and Matt Herms being in charge of the coloring and lettering respectively. The characters are still drawn consistently, the expressions are still stellar, the shading and contrast on this panel of Blaze holding the Soul Emeralds while being surrounded with her pyrokinesis powers, slick details during action sequences, such as Metal Sonic transforming, and especially this first panoramic shot, which is a first for the comic, where somehow he was able to draw the entire landscape of Angel Island, which took up a whopping 2 pages. Just look at the amount of effort put into this. Now, if you read this physically like I have, it can kind of look off-putting in your point of view, but if you're reading it digitally with the scanned panels, you can see the entire thing in one image. Literally everything about this shot is perfect. I know this is nothing new for comics by this point, but I'm still in a position to say that this is one of the best ones I've ever seen. Also, I didn't spot any single inconsistencies or oddities with the art style. Well, almost. Silver's hands in this 2-page panel are positioned backwards. However, in volume 3 of the graphic novel, which was where I first read the issue, Tracy corrected this mistake. So for that, it gets a pass. But this is overall Tracy's best work on IDW so far. This shows he had increased his skills and talent from the Archie days and his work on issue 1. Here's hoping he will increase his improvements in future issues. Next highlight in the issue are Sonic's friends. I have several reasons as to why I'm making this a highlight, and any Sonic fan who grew up in the 2000s like I have may know exactly what I'm getting at with this context. After Sonic 06 came out, people were complaining about the idea of Sonic's friends, where they thought there were too many of them, or disliked their playing styles, which resulted in Sega taking their criticisms a bit too well and have decided to make Sonic the only character to be playable, as well as being the only one to really do anything. Like the, oh, Eggman's doing this scheme and Sonic must stop him, yada yada yada. I was very young during the time Sonic 06 and Sonic Unleashed came out, so I wasn't too aware of many of that going on. Realizing this a decade later, I kind of feel like people were just over-exaggerating. It was really not that deep looking back. Sure, we did have some terrible playstyles for some characters that even deterred players from finishing certain games, such as Big's gameplay in Sonic Adventure or Silver's gameplay in Sonic 06, which to this day still suck, and I'm obviously not defending them from being flawed. But even then, it really shouldn't be a discouragement for Sega to drop them completely. Since Sonic Colors, it was just mostly Sonic, Tails, and Eggman as the main characters, and nobody else mattered and were thus irrelevant to the plot. Even in Sonic Forces, as I stated in my last review, didn't have Sonic's friends contribute to much of anything, at least story-wise anyway. Sonic Frontiers did that so much better. It even had Amy, Tails, and Knuckles playable for the first time in a mainline game since 06, and this was something that I've wanted since the 2010s era. The IDW series, however, has remained consistent on properly using all these characters and made them have plot reasons for why they're here, as well as why they are popular in the first place. We're already 9 issues in, and I'm so proud with how well they understand these characters, except for Shadow sadly, and write them to have respectable dynamics with one another and be useful in several situations. Here are my favorite ones. The second 2-page panel where everybody we met in the last 8 issues are all present, which is another commendable move by Tracy. Tails looking out for Blaze, as her fighting Neo Metal Sonic could be a huge risk. Sonic comforting Whisper and giving her space. Amy and Blaze's conversation on how they met for the first time. Silver and Tangle's interactions while playing cards with the Chaotix. Knuckles still taking his job seriously. And of course, the never-ending unbreakable bond with Sonic and Tails. You don't see a lot of this in the games, and it once again shows that IDW gets multiple things right that the former does not. Even the Paramount movies do a spectacular job on handling the characters and their interactions. Sonic Movie 3 does it the best, by the way. So case in point, I'm glad to see all these characters take part in a major event for a prime purpose with no sign of it being forced. It's definitely much better executed than what Sonic Forces ever thought it would accomplish. Next highlight is Blaze's super form, titled Burning Blaze. This was the form that Blaze attained in her debut game, Sonic Rush, by harnessing the power of the 7 Soul Emeralds, in which she has stated in this issue. In that game, and its sequel, Sonic Rush Adventure, she transformed with Sonic with the power of their own respective emeralds to defeat the contraptions of Eggman and the other Eggman from Blaze's dimension. This form is essentially her version of Super Sonic, being a powerful entity, has a high speed, grants immunity to most damage, and even gains some new moves. Aside from cameos and having a playable appearance in Sonic Dash and Sonic Forces Speed Battle, this form appeared in only 2 mainline games, which are DS exclusives. The closest we got to a Burning Blaze in a console game was in the final cutscene of Silver's story in Sonic 06, where she sacrificed her life to eradicate Iblis. I feel like this was Sonic Team's way of teasing us. So how does IDW execute the inclusion of Burning Blaze? Well, my answer is, they did not disappoint. I was so happy to see Blaze turn into her super form again, and she's the first character in the IDW series to do so, and man, does she look awesome. And the way she blasts that fleet ship is so badass. I've already talked about why Blaze is the best female character in the franchise and how they brought her in early in the comic's life. See my issue 4 review for more details. But they made her even more of a star in this issue and in the next issue as well. Seeing Blaze getting involved in a plot like this, especially by IDW, will never stop bringing me joy. I really love Blaze a lot as a character, and I'm still glad the way they wrote her personality is perfect. Next highlight is Super Neo Metal Sonic, which appears at the end of this issue. When I first saw this, I was incredibly mind blown, and this was yet an unexpected turn of events for this story, and I'm excited to see how it'll turn out in the next issue. While I'm saving the rest of my thoughts on this form in the next review, there are a few things that I'd like to point out. In Sonic Heroes, he appeared mostly as a secretive figure for the majority of all the team's stories until he revealed himself in the last story. Despite this, he never physically fought in his base form and never transformed in a supersonic-like form, though this is because the Master Emerald was not present, which is the main reason it plays a key role in this arc. Remember how in Knuckles' campaign at Sonic 3 and Knuckles, where he fought another robot copy of Sonic, named Mecha Sonic, who also used the power of the Master Emerald to turn super? That's basically what this moment is, and it further solidifies Neo Metal's motivation for his goals since the very beginning of the comic, between slaving Eggman's badniks, having them attack the villages, and setting his sights on the Master Emerald starting in issue 3, and finally fulfilling that purpose in the previous issue. I already loved what issue 7 did with building up his backstory and showing how strong he is as a fighter when copying the abilities of his opponent, and the fact that he was somehow able to achieve a super form despite being a robot is yet another more compelling twist IDW has done yet. I'm gonna assume Eggman may have likely programmed in that ability for Metal Sonic, which I guess I can kinda buy, as he has made some machines that are capable of actually harming Sonic in his super form. But I'm really hoping the next issue offers at least a bit of an explanation. Still though, awesome to see a super form of Metal Sonic and being the first transformation exclusive to the comic. Next highlight are the references, allusions, and callbacks with some trivia provided. First, Shadow leading against one of the boxes in the Resistance HQ is a nod to one of the last cutscenes in Sonic Forces where he did the same thing there. Second, Sonic's extreme gear has its design from the first Sonic Riders game, while Knuckles' extreme gear has its design from Sonic Free Riders. Third, Blaze shows a slight sign of acrophobia before jumping from the Resistance battleship, which is an allusion to her fear of heights shown in the Rush games. Fourth, the pose she makes upon transforming slightly mimics her Archie counterpart from Sonic Universe issue 58. Funny thing, the first time I saw this artwork of Burning Blaze was from Kabanamani456's playthrough of Sonic Rush Adventure. Crazy how that playthrough from him was almost 11 years old. Fifth, the way Charmy carries Espio and Vector while escaping the battleship's crash is a nod to Sonic Heroes when playing as the flight characters, including himself. Sixth, an Eggpon emotes with an exclamation mark in its speech bubble before it's about to get kicked in the head by Rouge. This happens to be the same exclamation mark speech bubbles from Sonic Heroes when the enemies notice the players approaching them. Seventh, the giant Eggman statue, which I guess Neo Metal decided to randomly put there for some reason, is a reference to a 2D artwork from Sonic Adventure 2. And eighth and last one, Neo Metal Sonic's line in this panel is a reference to a lyric from another vocal Sonic song and one of my favorites from the series, What I'm Made Of, in which the name of the song itself is also referenced at the end of the issue.
In the face of reason, I can't take no more. One by one they all go black mark on the floor. Is it
And that's pretty much all the references I've been able to catch and analyze. These are always one of my favorite parts of writing these reviews, as I have been a Sonic fan for almost 20 years, so I know a lot of bits and pieces about this franchise, which is why these reviews are not just for Sonic fans, but for everybody who hasn't gotten into the franchise yet, and I'm super glad to attract new viewers to my channel. So for this issue, I am giving it a monumental 10 out of 10. A perfect start to this new saga. All the characters are utilized well and play amazing roles in the story, the dynamics between all of them, some funny moments like Tango tricking Silver while playing a game of cards, Amy still being a competent Resistance leader, Knuckles still retaining the personality he had in the Dreamcast era Sonic games, the action scenes, Blaze turning into a burning form, and the sudden surprise super form of Neo Metal Sonic at the end. Ian Flynn has once again perfected his writing for this story, and I'm looking forward to see how he'll advance it in the next issue. And now it's time to discuss the variant covers for this issue. And my god, these are some of my favorites in the comics so far, despite still being limited to 2, as usual for this series. Let's go over them. First we have cover B. It does a very stellar job on showcasing what the events of the story will be, as a brown silhouette of Neo Metal Sonic is depicted holding Angel Island under his hand, while the silhouettes of Sonic and the gang are shown on the bottom of the cover. In addition, there's a text on the cover which says, "Victory is within his grasp, but together we can win." This is an impressive way to catch the reader's interest in getting into the issue, and it further entails how much they hype the heck out of this arc. This was drawn by Tracy Yardley, and again, I'm much more impressed than ever before with how he improved with his art style, and this cover is the most prominent example. Next and last one is the RI cover, and I absolutely adore it. Sonic and Knuckles are riding on their extreme gears, while Blaze, in her burning form, joins them while they're all being followed by the rest of the main cast in the battleship. Some of their expressions are pretty funny, like Vector nonchalantly listening to music, which by the way is a reference to his victory animations in Knuckles Chaotix and Shadow the Hedgehog, and Tango's happy look. I love Tango. Also in the cover are Omega, Gemroll, Cream, and Cheese included in the battleship as well, despite them not appearing in the issue. In fact, none of them show up at all in this arc, so it's kinda odd to have them included here. Still, this is yet another beautifully designed cover by Nathalie Fordrain, being the 9th variant cover she has made for this comic. Keep on cooking, Nathalie. Looking forward to your next one. Both of these variant covers pretty much rival each other in terms of appeal, charm, visuals, and setting for the issue's plot. I can't pick which one's better than the other. All I know is that these two artists absolutely slayed with these in their own ways. So that's the end of my IDW Sonic issue 9 review. It continues to show what made IDW Sonic so great, and they somehow locked in even more by having every character we met in the previous 8 issues play their own major roles in this new arc, and I can't wait to see what happens next. If you made it this far in the video, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this whole review. Next time we will be taking a look at issue 10, and looking at this cover right now, it looks like they're going to cook even more incredibly hard with this saga. Cannot wait to share my thoughts on this one. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I'm Bronto75, and I hope you enjoyed the review.